Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. As you probably heard, Giga Texas has produced its 10 millionth 4680 cell. It's been approximately 5 or 6 months from starting the line to achieve that. There are 4 lines at Giga Texas, each with a supposed 25 gigawatt hour a year capacity, totaling 100 gigawatt hours for the entire factory. Now, as many of you know, I like to keep an eye on 4680 progress and was very excited about its potential. But the progress updates have been disappointing, to say the least. It looked like 4680s would be the future for Tesla. They were the key component to what was known as cell-to-vehicle integration, where the actual cells serve as the structure of the battery pack. At Battery Day, it was inferred by many of us, and I think basically implied by Elon and Drew, that there would be 3 types of 4680 cell. A high energy dense nickel cell, a less energy dense nickel cell with manganese, and then a low energy dense iron based cell. Elon even said that going forwards, this is the future, cell to vehicle integration. And at the time, as Tesla was the only EV manufacturer making such cells or batteries, then 4680 appeared to be the only way forward. But BYD certainly got the memo and made their blade cells, which also act as cell to vehicle structural battery packs. And CATL are using the cooling ribbons for the cells as their structure. Basically, there are now other alternatives for structural battery packs aside from Tesla's 4680 cells. But it wasn't just about the fact that the 4680s created structural battery packs. It was mainly the fact that they would cost significantly less and require factories about 1/10 the footprint compared to Giga Nevada. And we were told that Tesla would produce 3 times as many gigawatt hours as Giga Nevada in 2022 alone. 100 gigawatt hours, which would mean, as it was ramping the whole time, the actual run rate by the end of 2022 would have been even higher than 100 gigawatt hours. This was an insane amount of cells that could be produced. And as we knew at the time, the EV industry is battery constrained. Hence why we see Ford, GM, and other legacy companies investing tens of billions of dollars into hundreds of gigawatt hours of cells. However, using old techniques similar to Tesla's Giga Nevada facility, but at least proven manufacturing techniques. We expected 10 to 20 gigawatt hours a year from Fremont, 100 gigawatt hours a year from Texas, and a further 50 gigawatt hours a year from the 4680 factory in Berlin, plus all sorts of speculation on other 4680 cell factories, like in Shanghai or Indonesia. Later announced a further 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 cells to be produced in Nevada as well. Almost 300 gigawatt hours of cells, and supposedly at around $70 a kilowatt hour cost. So perhaps $150 to $200 gross profit per cell, or more if you include subsidies, or around an additional $50 billion gross profit in total, on top of everything else we have now and still to come. And this was just Tesla's high energy dense 4680 cells. Then we had the idea of an LFP 4680 cell too, for the 25,000 car and energy storage, which would cost even less. The future of EVs and energy storage was all constrained by cell production, and Tesla had made the necessary breakthrough in order to rectify slow cell production with this dry battery electrode process. Of course, we expected 50% year-over-year growth, or even higher some years, definitely higher in 2022 with 100 gigawatt hours of cell production. To me, it all felt dependent on 4680s, and it would seem I was right. Hence almost no ramping this year compared to the end of last, which is exactly what I was saying at the end of last year, of which Elon confirmed in Q4 earnings call. He didn't set the bar very high for growth this year, and the stock actually rose on this news. And if Tesla even hit the 1.8 million target for production, not deliveries, then the stock price should be fine too, and the target should be easily achievable. This year, the stock just wants to see the Cybertruck in production, and then it will be happy. I think it would take it to 300, if no other event manages to do that in the meantime. Although I really do want to see Tesla break ground on Mexico soon. Now, Mexico is the pivot to the 4680 cells. This is what made me rethink Tesla and the future not depending on 4680 cells when Elon said the Gen 3 manufacturing will be able to use LFP cells, i.e. CATL cells, which happen to be the most abundant in the world. And without 4680 in high volume production, Tesla's best chance at hitting the most growth. Tesla pivoted and are making a new factory at an extreme level to produce electric vehicles with LFP cells that CATL know they can make in high quantities. Making an electric vehicle that uses a smaller battery due to it being a compact vehicle, and instead of us seeing a huge saving in cell and battery cost like we expected from Berlin and Texas, we're told to expect a huge saving in production cost, taking the cost down to under $20,000. And when accompanied by tax credits and subsidies, then we aren't far off $10,000. Does that sound too good to be true? Kind of like the 4680s were? Or has Tesla learned so much when it comes to manufacturing? Don't forget, Tesla has not released any new vehicles for about 6 years. It was 2017 when the Model 3 was launched. Sure, the Y came out after that, but was based on the Model 3 and still shares about 70% of the same parts as a result. It was not revolutionary, it was evolutionary, basically using the same manufacturing techniques, aside from the castings and some with structural battery packs. But the vehicle was not designed around those. They were afterthoughts. Whereas the Cybertruck, well, that is more designed around the manufacturing, hence the simple shape with no curves. And they thought they could sell these for as little as $40,000 back in the day, perhaps with 25% margin. So just $30,000 cost per Cybertruck. Well, think just how much smaller the compact Tesla might be than the fact it won't be using 30x cold rolled steel and likely exclude many of the other Cybertruck features like the air suspension. In other words, a lot of cost saving compared to the Cybertruck. Then of course the unboxed parallel manufacturing line, so perhaps under $20,000 is a possibility. It's just the subsidies and tax credits have so much more impact on a lower cost vehicle, it would just about halve the cost again. Okay, sure, it's not literally reducing cost, but indirectly you know what I'm saying. These incentives are a fixed price on any vehicle. If Tesla could make an EV for $5,000 and it met the criteria, then it would still qualify, and Tesla could pretty much give them away. Although in this scenario, we're kind of saying if the consumer spent $20,000 on a compact, then there's nearly 50% margin, assuming they were actually selling for $27,500, and it's $20,000 to the end user after the tax credits. We may have to wait longer for the 4680 sales to ramp. The last official update was that they will ramp next year, but I'm a little dubious as to what level we'll really see. The point is, there's still a lot of potential with Gen 3 now to look forward to. I think that the Cybertruck is going to launch with 2170 cells, as one of the other issues with this 4680 cells is the lower energy density, and Cybertruck needs all the energy density it can get. I think Tesla would have to double layer the cells in order to get enough energy in the battery to get enough range. I'm of the theory that when Tesla launched a Cybertruck, it would have to have more range than all the competition, which would mean more than 400 miles compared to the Rivian. I would say that Elon would probably want to hit something like 420 miles, knowing him, if that can be achieved. The Rivian is using a 180 kilowatt hour battery to get that much range, which is huge. It would be over 2,000 4680 cells. I don't think Tesla need to get that big a battery, as manufacturing experts are claiming the Cybertruck will be quite a bit lighter than the Rivian. But either way, it's going to need a big battery to get that much range. The current 4680 cells have the same energy density as LFP, so it's going to be tough to achieve. Rivian is using 2170 cells to get their range too. Remember though, Tesla are not going to make a lot of Cybertrucks to begin. Elon has warned us already, so we don't need a lot of 2170 cells, and about halfway through next year, Panasonic come out with their 4680 cell, which will likely be as energy dense as the 2170. We also have this new long-range Model 3 in the US coming out, which might be using LFP cells, or CATL's latest cells, which could be an indication of how good a job Tesla are doing with LFP right now. Again, I would have thought Tesla would want to save 2170 cells for their Texas models, so this is going to be interesting to see as well. Look, I'm not saying that 4680s are the make or break of Tesla, at least they don't appear to be now, and the market doesn't seem overly fazed by their progress either. Tesla appear to have not given up and realise how big a prize is at the end when they get there. The science has been proven. It's all about the engineering and scaling up from here. Hi there, I'm using Verbalate AI video translation and lip sync software. It's pretty amazing. Watch this.
I can translate my videos into other languages. For example, I am now speaking Hindi.
नमस्ते, मैं पहली बार हिंदी में बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन Verbalate इसे इतना आसान बना देता है.
Or how about Spanish?
Hola, vaya, increíble.
También puedo hablar español.
Sign up at verbalate.ai today to gain early access to trial the product for creators and strategic partners, and gain the ability to translate and lip sync videos in all major languages. You can view the info in the description below.